hence the line of execution will be changing. Now we are going to see further how the program can be made into a procedural or modular programming concept. So we, until now, we were not using any functions for the programs when we were writing. So now we will see how we will change the same program, the same set of programs we will be making into functions. Now with the function calls, how we will write the program. Some of you have studied already in C++ and all, but now we will, as we are studying the most basic language, we will see that. Okay, so here in this chapter, we are going to see about or learn more about user-defined functions. We already saw library function, which is inbuilt functions. Inbuilt functions. Now we are going to see about, in this chapter, we are going to see only about user-defined functions. Got it? User-defined function. User is going to define a function. We were, till now, we were using printf, scanf, and other getch, clear screen. All these are functions which are inbuilt functions. We were not sitting and coding for the inbuilt functions. You can mute from your side. Sudhir. Okay, so those are, if you have any doubts, you can unmute and ask. Otherwise, you can mute. So those functions which are we are commonly using in our program, which we are commonly using in a program, and through the inclusion of, or by including the header files. Header files is nothing but a collection of all these inbuilt functions, right? Written and compiled, pre-declared, and we can tell it as pre-declared, predefined functions. Library functions. So those functions were a library function. Now we are going to see how a user can define a function. Okay, so the user defined functions in this chapter we will see. So functions as such, we can see that whenever we write a program, we can divide it into different parts. You know, when we are writing a small program, suppose we are having a program, if I ask you to write a program for performing the arithmetic operations. Listen here, suppose I am asking you people to perform arithmetic operation, a program to explain about arithmetic operation. You will be writing some lines of code in order to perform addition operation, multiplication, division, modulus, subtraction. All these are the arithmetic operations. So in order to explain that, you will be taking two variables and performing such operations, or you will be writing the coding to implement it. Now, suppose you want to make it as a more structured program. You can divide it into different parts. You can make addition as a separate part, division as a separate part. Similarly, the modular division, you can make it as a separate part. So all the operations, you can make it into different parts. Suppose if I am asking you to implement and show all the operators which is studied in the last chapter, you will be having separate parts for logical operators, separate for relational and arithmetic operators, likewise, right? Bitwise operator, the programs which we had given for each of the example as an example program. Suppose for bitwise, I had given a small program. Arithmetic operation, I have given a small program. Each of these, if I'm making it as a single long program, I can divide and make parts. One can be named as arithmetic as all the operators under arithmetic expression can be named as one part, relational another part, logical another part. So this way of dividing the program into different parts which are mutually related and can be independently coded and combined into a single unit. I can make it as a single unit because all the operators under the chapter operators and expression, I can make it as it can be combined into a single unit, right? That's why we made it as a chapter. Now for each relational expressions, arithmetic are different parts which can be independently coded, right? And it can be combined into a single program. I can name the program as an example program for all the operators, right? So you can make it into different parts using a function. Similarly, if you take another example, if you are considering the the details of a student while taking admission in a college. You can divide the different modules of the you can make it as different functional parts. Suppose one, you may be having the student details, right? Collecting the student details. Suppose the information like whatever you are giving in the admission form, you will be asked to enter your name, parents' name, and then address and all phone numbers and email ID. Those will be considered as a personal details of the student. And regarding the course details, you will be having another module, another part. And regarding the fees, you will be having another part. If you are going for accessing the library books, you will be having another set of details. And if you are suppose if you are going for the this academic part, that is, you will be given or entered marks for the for all the subjects which you are entering, or you are attempting for both the internal and the external exam, and the evaluation of the result will be there. So all these can be considered as different functional parts, right? And it can be independently coded, and it can be combined into a single unit. So whenever we are taking a huge, or whenever we are taking a program, you can sit and visualize some parts which can be made out of that single program, right? And make it under a single heading. So this way we can have the different parts being coded independently and combined into a single unit. So a program can be divided into functional parts. We are not making without anything, just cutting here and there, and the codes, we are just not delimiting within a curly bracket or a flower bracket. We are making into functional parts. As I told, if I am taking about a student detail, you would be having a heading called the personal details. So that is one functional part. Academic details, that is another part. Attendance will be taken as another part. So we are making it as functional part, and each part can be independently coded, right? So we are making it ensuring that we can independently code each part, and it will not affect the main execution of the program. So whenever we are adding another function, the existing program should be working fine, right? So each part can be given to be coded separately by separate individuals, and then it can be combined following the same global declaration and all. It can be combined into a single unit. So a program can be divided into functional parts, and each part we can make sure that it can be independently coded, and later it can be combined into a single unit. So independently coded sub-programs. So we are making it to the program, single program, we are making into sub-programs. These independently coded sub-programs are called functions. The actual definition is coming in the next slide, but this is in simple language. So a function is also known. So the functions, you can name it also. There are some small differences, but we can name it as the basic functionality is same. So the functions are also known as methods. Functions are also known as subroutines. Some functions are also known as procedure. Got it? So procedural module, we can name it as module also. So this is different names for the same thing, that is an independently coded subprogram. Independently coded subprogram can be named as a method, or we can name it as a subroutine, or we can name it as a procedure or a module. So this will be giving, functions will be giving a procedural approach or a modular approach for the program. So we are going to give a modular approach for the C programming language. So till now we were just writing all the lines to be executed under one single function. What is that function called? Just now I saw 70 participants, now it is 60. It is always changing. What is that main function called? Only function under which we are all writing until now. All the lines of the code we are writing under a single function. That is our main function, right? That is the only function, and that is the most essential part of a C program, right? So without main we cannot write the C program. So we were writing all the lines of code under the main program. Now we are seeing how we can have a user-defined function and make the program as a sub-programs. It's a collection of sub-programs. Now, function in a single line, we can tell it as a group of statements. So when I am asking for the definition, you should be writing this one, not the previous slide. It is nothing but a group of statements that perform a single task and which are combined into a single unit and given a name. So these are the things which are coming under the function definition. That is, it is nothing but a group of statements that performs a. Are you able to hear me? Okay. So it is nothing but a group of statements. Group of statement function is nothing but from the main we will be cutting. I'll show you how we are making into different functions. So I'll just cut and paste a group of statements from the main. Understood? So I'll execute and show it. So the same program whatever till now we have executed, I will be asking you to make it as a function call. Understood? So you should be knowing how you can change in your program into sub-programs or functions using the function calls. A function is a group of statements that performs a single task and which are combined into a single unit under a given name. So these group of statements we will be giving a name. Got it? So we will be, as we have given the only function which we had as main, the main is the name of the function which was given by the C programmers, but that is a pre-declared function name. We cannot change the name of main function, right? But now we are going to get or we are going to give names for the function which are user defined functions, and we can by following some rules what we had used for whatever rules we used for declaring the variables. Got it? So the functions can be invoked from other parts of the program. So you know that a function can be called. Now, as of now, we have only one main function, right? So our program, everything was within the main function. So you can imagine. When I am telling, you can call a function from other parts of the program. We have only one part, that is our main, right? So you will be calling the other sub functions from the main, right? But you know that functions can be called from another function. This line, are you listening? Functions can be called from another function or from the main function. Got it? So you can either make a call of a function from the main function or any of the other sub functions or subprograms. Every C program has at least one function that we know. The only function we have till now used is our main function, right? So from the main function, we were calling the other functions. So we cannot write a program, C program, without a main, right? Main function. The reasons to use the function for the proper organization and ordering of a program, and why we are using function. So this is the points which we have to write for reason to use function for the proper organization and ordering of a program. Function help to reduce the program size. Functions are easier to understand, debug, and test. So these are the advantages of writing a program. You may be thinking like, why now functions? So when we are writing some small programs, we will be thinking that without writing function only it was better, ma'am. Why you are making it as with the function? But when we are repeating some action, or if we are doing the same thing repeatedly, it will be, and in order to make it as more organized program. So I told one example for Kiran Kumar. Kiran, can you unmute? Once in a while he will be coming and sending some message and then go. Kiran, are you there? Kiran, very VIP person. Kiran? Kiran, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Very eager to see you. What happened till now? Where were you? I'm getting complaints from other faculty that you are not attending class. Even I am facing the same thing. What happened, Kiran?
No, ma'am, I'm attending classes, ma'am.
From when you are attending? You know, attendance shortage list was given and your name was there in that. And again, I had given you warning. But again, I saw some, after that also you are not attending. Okay, now make sure that you are attending every classes, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so C programs has at least one function, that is our me. So why we are using the function? Suppose, I told the example of the student details. Reaching the college, right from the admission, when you are moving through all the semesters, we will be having different things to be recorded. So each, as I told, the personal details. So for one student, we will be finding it difficult to make these mini sub programs or function calls. But imagine the 400 plus students taking admission in each year. So what will happen? All these details, if you are writing a C program, imagine how many lines of code will be there. So if you are making it as a function, you just need to call the function for the admission. That is, you will be calling the function for the collecting the or getting the input for the personal details. You can call it using that function. If you are calling the lines of code which is grouped under that function call will be repeated or it will be executed. So the lines of code will be much reduced if you are using a function call, and you can make it more organized. If you are writing all the lines of code under the main function, you cannot understand which part of the program is going wrong. So if you are naming it and grouping the statements under each heading of the function name, you can make the program more organized. So more than 500 students, if they are coming also, you will be repeating the code again and again, and it will reduce the program size. It will give a proper organization and ordering of the program, and functions are easier to understand. And debugging, what is debugging? Finding the errors, right? When we are writing the program, always, even when I am typing, I have shown you, you will be getting errors, right? So it will be easy to debug a program if you are making it as small function calls, and you can you will be able to test. So collecting the name of the student or the register number will be there in many of the sections of the program. So in order to understand which part of the program is having that error, you can have a debugging and testing. So these are the reasons for using the function in order to get a proper organization and ordering of the program. Function help us to reduce the program size. Functions are easier to understand and make it easier for debugging and testing. Got it? So the functions as such, these are the benefits of using the function. So as I told, I'll be checking your notes. I need at least the things which are written in red color, which I have highlighted in red color to be written. I don't want pages and pages of copy from my PPT. If you are just, sometimes I used to send good notes for some students, because they have, some students, they have written, they may have written only one page, but I like that one because I need only the summary. I'll be sending the notes to you, right? But I need only the points which you can just see through when you are before moving or before going for the exam. Alright, so in order to write a full definition, you need not write all these, a group of statement, a single task, single unit, and given a single name. That's enough, right? And function can be called from other parts, or you can write it, function can be called from another function, or can be called from the main function. That's it. So when you are understanding and writing the notes, it will be more clear and it will be thorough in your head. So when you're writing the advantages of the functions, you just write organized, ordered program, reduced program size, easier to understand, debug and test. That's it. No need of writing functions help to. The complete sentence is not required. Now, as I told in the beginning, there are two categories of functions. Till now, we were saying only library functions, right? We were seeing printf, scanf, square root, math functions, everything we had seen, and all those are the library function. Even main is a function which is pre-declared. And we were using all this printf, scanf function. Nobody told about writing about we were not knowing what is the content of printf, scanf and all. But when I'm using printf and scanf, I am able to do the formatted input output, right? So these functions, library functions, are not required to be written by the user. Got it? Who are the users? We are the users now who are writing the computer C programs, right? We are the users of the C language, and we are not required to write anything for the library functions. Need to be included by appropriate header files. So in order to use these functions, we need to include the header files. That's it. We need not write these functions, but we need to include the header files. And these are already declared and defined in the C library. So we will learn that for a function to be used, before itself, we have to first declare the function. When we were taking the structure of the C program, I had told you where we have to declare the functions and where we will be defining the function and where we will be calling the function. Okay. So until now we were using only library functions, and these library functions we were not knowing, and we were not supposed to write anything for these library function. We just need to include the header files, and these are already declared and defined. We just need to call, right? We just need to call these functions, but we need not declare, we need not define these library functions. So these library functions are there in the C library, and it is categorized and named using some header files. So these header files will be nothing but a collection of inbuilt or library functions. Okay. Now, so the C also provide the functionality of user-defined functions. Now, in this chapter, we are studying only about user-defined functions. The functions which are defined by the user at the time of writing a program is known as user-defined functions. User-defined functions has to be, so as I told, here I told it need not be, these library functions need not be declared and defined, but here user-defined functions needs to be declared, needs to be defined, and has to be called. So this will be the user-defined functions. So today I'll be seeing who is writing good notes. I don't want complete sentence, and I know I told you yesterday also, no, my PPTs are not the correct way of writing the or giving the PPT. I'm crowding, like each slide will be having more content. Actually, I'm making it as a note also. So for me, it will be easy for sending to you. That's why I'm making it like that. Otherwise, I'll be making it with the only points. I'll not make it as a complete sentence. So the PPT, use of PPT is to make bulleted points. But if I'm going for exact full line of sentences, then I have to go for Word. But so I'm just combining those two together in my PPT. So don't take it like this is the way to write a PPT. Okay, so the functions are defined by the user. User-defined functions are defined by the user, and user-defined function has to be declared, defined, and has to be called. So when I'm giving a name called multiplication, I'm giving mul or sum or display. These are the function names which I'm giving. User has a right to name the function. So when user-defined function, I can give any name other than the reserved words or the keywords. So I can define or can give the names of the function following the rules, so whatever we have declared for the defining a variable. And the main is specially recognized C function. As I told, it is a function which is you may be thinking, among the three things, what are the three things which are essential for a user-defined function? A function has to be declared, it has to be defined, and it has to be called. We are going to learn more about it. So any function which is defined by the user, we have to make sure that we have to follow the three things. What are the three things? A function has to be declared, and it has to be defined, and it has to be called. But you know that if it is a library function, it is already declared and defined. But you know, one more thing is, like, main is a function which is pre-declared. I will always keep on repeating that it is pre-declared, but defining of the main is done when we are writing the C program. Got it? So that's why main function cannot be actually categorized under library functions or under user-defined functions, because actually we are defining the main function, but we cannot change the name of the main function because it is pre-declared. Got it? So these are the two things which you have to understand. Hereafter, when I am telling functions, I am referring to user-defined functions. Understood? So the need for user-defined functions, as I told, the use of function, the same thing is being repeated for the user-defined function. You know, when we were telling in the previous slide, here I was telling as a common thing, the functions, you know, will be either, it can be inbuilt function or it can be user-defined function. These are the advantages of having a function. But now I am focusing only on the user-defined function. It will be helping the increased reusability. As I told, if I am writing a code for the admission of a student, when he take admission, the same code can be reused, right? For the 400 plus students who are taking admission each year, and greater functionality and modularity. As I told, each function will be given a particular name and it can be taken in that way, right? Greater functionality and modularity of the program, improved trackability and understandability of large C program. That is, we are able to track any bug in that, right? Improved trackability and understandability, and also for debugging and editing. Debugging and editing becomes easier. So these are the same points only which I had written over there, but increased, in case they are asking a question, what are the advantages of user-defined functions? Then you should be able to write it. Don't think that both are, that is ma'am gave like that for function. It is both same, but I'm more specifically telling about the user-defined function because it will be helping in the these areas. You know, it will be helping us in trackability. In functions, you know, we are not thinking too much about the trackability. Here we are, because we are making the main program into sub programs. Our module we can check whether the module for the attendance is working fine, or whether the module for the mark for the internal mark assessment is working fine. So all these can be properly tracked, and debugging and editing also becomes easier. So the main program, as I have shown in this figure, in main program, from the main program, we will be calling the sub programs, which we have named as function A, function B, and function C. So among this, and as I told before, again, no, in this figure I have shown you, from the main program, we can call function 1, function 2, function 3. And from the second function, I'm again calling function 4 and function 5, right? So within the function, one function, we can call another function. Main is also a function, right? From the main function, we were calling these sub functions, function 1, 2, and 3. But from function 2, again, I'm calling function 4 and 5. From function 5, I'm calling function 6 and 7, right? And from function 3 also, I'm making the same call towards function 7. So you can understand from this that your functions can be called from any part of the program. Got it? Either from main or from another existing function. So now we are moving on to see what are the elements of user-defined function. As I told in the previous slide, the three elements of a user-defined function, or to make a function usable for a program, we have to have function declaration, function call, and function definition. Here also I had shown you the same thing. A function has to be declared, a function has to be defined, and a function has to be called. Then only the effect of a user-defined function will be there. So the function declaration, the calling program should declare any function that is to be used later in the program. So here you know that the function declaration, without declaring the function, we cannot call the function from the main program. You know that the main program is the only function which is existing in a C program. Before calling the function, it has to be declared. When I was teaching the structure of the C program, I had shown you where the functions has to be declared. I don't know whether any one of you is remembering the basic structure of a C program. Those who have taken presentation, I was telling no that linking section and then the declaration section. In declaration, we will be doing the definition section is also there. After that, we will be having the declaration section, in which we will be making the function declaration as well as the global declaration. Have you all, I think all of you might have forgotten now, but some of you have taken the presentation. I hope they at least remember the function declaration has to be done before the function is called from the main. Okay, so as I told, there are three parts. One is function declaration, the other is function call, and the third is the function definition. So before these two, function call and function definition, you have to make a function declaration. Declaration part is used for the declaration of the functions before it is used, and also for the declaration of global variables. Is it clear? So this part, if you see this example, you can understand that I am going to declare a function called my function, and it is declared before the main, right? Before the main, and it is called from the main. I'm calling it. I'm calling what is the syntax for calling, what is the syntax for declaring, and what is the syntax for defining. We will learn in the upcoming slide. But now you have to understand that before it is being called and before it is being defined, we have to declare. So when we are declaring in the declaration section, we have to inform, as you can see here, the function declaration has to be done in the declaration part, and that is above main. Okay, so the syntax and how we are using, what all should be the content of the function declaration, we will be learning in the next slide. So here you can see that it is ending with a semicolon. Now, in the main or any other functions which we have, we will be making the function call. So after declaring the function, so when we are declaring the function, I will teach you in the next slide. We will be mentioning the return type as well as the name of the function and the arguments passed. What are the three things which we will mention when we are declaring a function? The return type of the function, the name of the function, and the arguments which we are passing into the function. Got it? So after giving proper information to the compiler that we are going to, these are the things which are the things, that is the return type and the arguments expected for this function named as this, we will be making the call of the function. Making the call is done using only the name of the function and the arguments. So we will be, if you are passing some arguments, if you are not passing any arguments, we will be leaving it as empty parenthesis, or you can mention it as void. If you are passing or the arguments, we will be calling the function, and then you will be passing the arguments in the parenthesis. Got it? Now, if you have any return value, if you are giving us void, that means that we don't have any return value. If we are expecting an integer return value, if you are having a return value, you have to mention the name of the variable, and the variable should be assigned. The function should be assigned, the return of the function should be assigned to the variable. So I'll show you different examples, but now for the time being, I am showing an example in which we don't have any return value and we don't have any arguments, right? So when we are just calling a function, you can just make a call mentioning the name of the function. Then in then the next part is function definition. We are going to define. Suppose in the beginning I told the chapter name is function. I gave the heading as function. So I am just declaring that I am going to take about function. After that, I gave the definition of the function, right? What exactly the content, the line should be written for you to write for the function definition. Likewise, here function definition, I already declared that the name of the function and what I'm expecting as a return value and what I'm passing as arguments. And then I'm going to define what are the lines to be executed. What are the lines to be executed when this function is called from the main? So when I'm calling a function from the main, it will be calling the main function, and in the sub function, my function, and then it will execute the lines of code which we have written under function definition. So function definition will be having the set of lines of statements which has to be executed. Listen here, which has to be executed. So we are or whenever what has to be performed when this function is called, that will be given over here in the function definition. So elements of user-defined function, I am giving one more example. Here, this is an example in which here is an example in which we are in the previous example I told we are not having any return value and we are not having any arguments, but in this program I am mentioning that integer is a return value and the arguments we are passing some arguments as a for the function called add numbers. So tell me, Kiran Kumar, are you there? What is the name of the user-defined function in this example? +9170199007. Hello? Okay. मैं अभी कॉलेज में हूँ. Okay. Okay. So can anyone tell me what is the name of the function and what are the arguments and what is the return value? Somebody can answer in the chat box. Only Manikandan is there. Huh? Manikandan has answered. Name of the Kiran, are you there? I'll mark absent if you are not answering now. What is the name of the function? What is the return value, return type, and what are the arguments? Naveen has given the arguments as A and B. Sachin has given the name of the function, add numbers. Good, good. Abhishek. Function name is add numbers. Mehboob has given. Kiran Kumar. Integer. What integer add? No, Kiran. Here integer is the return type. Got it? Add numbers is the name of the function. And the arguments passed are A and B. We are giving the name of the or the arguments. What are the data types of the argument? Integer. Both are integer here. Even the data type of the arguments we are passing. What type of arguments we are expecting? We are expecting two integer arguments. What type of return value we are expecting? We are expecting an integer return value. Got it? So from this you can understand. I am given an example for a user-defined function which is having a return value and which is passing some arguments. Understood? As I told before, we have to first declare the function. When we are declaring, the compiler will come to know what is the expected data type of the, is there any return value and what is the data type of the return value? What is the name of the function? What are the arguments expected? What are the data types of the arguments? Got it? So these things will, okay, Kiran Kumar has answered. So A integer, B integer are the arguments. Good. So these are the arguments. So these are the information which we are giving to the compiler before the function is being called. Okay. So here in the main we are calling the function called add numbers. Understood? We are calling the function called add numbers. We are passing. So when we are calling, we are just giving only, we are not mentioning data type. All of you listen here. We are not mentioning the data type of neither the return value or the arguments. We are just calling with the name add numbers and then passing the two arguments. Whatever, if you want to give same argument name also you can give, otherwise you can give another argument name. So here I am passing two numbers n1 and n2 and we are getting the return value in a variable called sum. I told no, if it is having a return value, we will have to mention a variable of the same return value. Sum is a return variable to which we are returning the value or the function whatever we are calling. Add numbers, when we are calling, it will be returning a value and it is assigned to a variable called sum. This I will explain it more in depth, but I am just showing it here. And now we finished with the function declaration and function call. The third is our function definition. When I am calling this add numbers over here, when I am calling an add numbers, it will be coming to this line, right? So what this function is expected to execute, what this function call is expected to execute when it is being called. So here we will mention all the lines to be executed when this function add numbers is called. Got it? So when we are giving, when we are having a return value as integer, we have to return. This we studied already for the main, right? If you are giving void main, we need not give any return. If I am giving integer main, int main, we have to give return 0. Some return value has to be given, right? So here also, as we are giving int means we are going to return an integer, we have to return an integer. So here in this, I'm just using a variable called result, which is an integer, and I'm returning. This example you need not bother about. I'll explain again. I'm just showing an example for here. I showed an example for the function which is not having a return value and which is not having an argument. Here, this is an example for a function which is having a return value and which is having arguments. Okay. So the lines to be executed when add numbers is called is written over here. Suppose I repeat this call after some lines of code. Again, if I am writing sum equal to add numbers, again the program control will come over here and it will execute all these lines of code. Got it? So whenever I am calling this add numbers, it will be calling the function that many number of times. So the function declaration or the function prototype, we are going to learn what is under function. So I told there are three parts or three essential elements for using a function or a user-defined function: function declaration, function call, and function definition. So first we are going to see what is function declaration. Function declaration is also known as function prototypes. Are you all listening? In the question paper, I saw, ma'am, function prototype. I didn't understand what is function prototype. Don't tell me like that. Function declaration is also known as function prototype. All functions which we are going to use in a C program must be declared. I don't know, before declaring, before calling it and before defining it, we have to give an information to the compiler that we are going to have a such and such program function. This is the expected name, this is the name, this is the expected data type of the return, and what is the variables which we are passing as argument. Function declaration tells the compiler about the function name and how to call. How to call. What is the meaning of how to call? How to call means what are the arguments we are planning to pass to that function. Got it? So what is the function name? What is how it has to be called. So when we are calling, if you are expecting a return, so it has to be assigned to a variable, right? So how it has to be called, what all the things which we have to take care if it is a function called expecting a return value and expecting a argument. Function declaration has 4 parts. So we are going to split it into 4 parts. Function type, that means function type is nothing but the return type, return data type. Understood? If you want, you can write it more specifically. Here it is return data type, right? data type of the return value, function name, parameter list. Parameters are also known as argument. I'll give both the terms, or arguments. Otherwise, you will tell ma'am didn't tell. Argument list, right? And the terminating semicolon. What are the different parts of a function declaration? Don't think that there are many points. Actually, these are only what are the things in single line what we are writing, no? Only those things: function, return type, function name, argument list, and a semicolon. You know, whatever I have given in this, you know, I'm just, this is what, this is the return data type. This is the function name. This is the arguments what we are passing with the data type, right? We are giving with the data type and with a semicolon at the end. Got it? Only those things I have written over here: function, return data type, function name, parameter list or argument list, and a semicolon. Got it? So I'm splitting and showing it in different colors: function, return type, function name, parameter list or argument list. Okay, and then one semicolon. So here in a example I have given. So tell me who will be answering. Ananya is there? Ananya? Ananya? Ananya is absent. Harshida, are you there? Harshida? Harshida also not there. Then Johnson? Johnson, very easy to take attendance. Johnson not there. Uzair? Uzair also not there. So we can finish taking attendance now itself, right? Ken Edwin? Ken, are you there? I can see you in the participant list. Ken, are you there? Tell me, Ken, what is the name of the name, return, and the arguments data type of the function which I have given in this example? I'm asking Ken, others are all answering good. Ken, you have answered integer. What is the name of the function? Name of the function. Name of the function is max, right? What is the return data type? What is the return data type? Return data type is integer, right? Gayatri, void. Here in this example, I am telling. In this example, int main, int number one and all, no? So here return data type is int, okay, integer. Here, what are the arguments what we are passing? Number one and number two, right? These are the return data type. So Mikulsum has given many slashes and star. Okay. So the return data type, correctly you have given function name. Okay, good. No problem, I'm just joking. Something in between I should tell, no, I'm just telling. Okay, no problem, Umi, I'm just telling. So this will be the max is the name of the function and integer is a data type, and argument names is num1 and num2, and we are mentioning the data type also. One thing you have to listen here when you are going for some this thing, the competition, and you will see that sometimes, you know, when we are declaring the function, listen here, when you are declaring the function, we will be just mentioning the arguments only as with the data type. What we are expecting is an integer, two integer arguments. We are not mentioning the name of the arguments. Are you all listening? You can just rewrite, or you can write this same declaration in this way. We have to mention the return type as integer, name of the function as max, But instead of writing the variable name of the two arguments, here two arguments we told it as num1 and num2. But in the first example, no, I showed with the return data type along with the argument name. But you have to understand that even if you are not mentioning, the name of the argument, it is correct. Got it? So the variable name is optional. So you can just mention what is the expected data type of the arguments. Got it? So you can either mention with a variable name or without variable name, but data type is mandatory. When a function does not take any parameters and does not return any value, the prototype, well, I told you right from the beginning, right, when we were telling about the main, also I have told you, if you have no return type and if you are not passing any arguments, we have to mention it as void. Is it clear? So now only 68 participants. The first hour there were 71. So, you know, these theory attendance will be really altering your attendance percentage. And, you know, 5 marks, the hard earned 5 marks, what you are getting through internal. More than that, if you are maintaining 90 plus attendance, you will be getting 5 marks. Attend, that is not from our side. You will be like you will be getting the benefits. That's what. Okay. For us, teaching one student or 70 students, it's the same. Okay. If we are coming for offline, then it is like we will be shouting more. But still, I'm also shouting here. Your ears are going, no? I'm shouting from here. But in the same classroom, for us it is same, but you are losing. Understood? So this, if you don't have any return value and if you don't have any arguments or parameters, don't tell me that I don't know. Parameters is another name for argument. Okay, so we can mention it as void. So here I have given an example. What is the name of this function? Print line is the name of the function. Whether it is having any return value? No, void is a return and there is no arguments. So they are just giving it as void. So the function declaration, as I told when that it is also known as function prototype, can be placed in two places in a program. Got it? So when we were doing any the function declaration, so as I told the declaration part, we can have the global declaration of the function. So there is another way for declaring a function inside the function definition of another function. Just for the theory sake, you just understand that you can either have global function declaration or you can have local function declaration. Global prototype means global function declaration. Local prototype means local function declaration. As we have global variables and local variables. Global variables, you know what is it? Outside all the functions, if you are declaring the variables, then it is known as global variables. Likewise, if you are declaring the function in the declaration part, both in the declaration part and global variables or global prototype. Above main. So if you are declaring the variables or if you are declaring the function in the global declaration area, that is outside all the function, you know, above main means it is outside all the functions in the program, then it is known as global prototype. If you are using or declaring a function within another function, that means within the function where we will have, I told only place where we are having the function definition is when we are if we are calling add numbers, it will come over here and this is a function definition. So within this function definition, if I am declaring another same line, this line, no, if I am writing it here inside another function, then it is known as local prototype. But it is primarily used by the function containing them. So it is not recognized. So we cannot call it from any other function. It is applicable and it is valid, or it will not show an error only if it is called within another function. Got it? So the function call. So first part or the first element. What are the three elements of the function Definition. Now I should catch another person. I'm not just calling, no, some randomly I'm just calling. Okay. What are the three parts? Bharat, are you there? Bharat, what are the three parts or the three elements? Karthik you have given. Mehboob has given. Okay, understood. Bharat, what are the three parts of the function or the three most essential elements of a function to make use of a function? All are giving answer in the chat box. Good. The Bharat. Where are you? Now he will tell connection lost. Okay. So anyone? 1 minute, ma'am. Now onwards, now I will ask you people to switch on the video in between. Better than chatting, I am using another mobile and you just answer. What are the three things which you need for using a function? Bharat, you come when you come over here, no? Yes, ma'am. Everything he is typing except answer. Okay. I am waiting and waiting. All others are giving the answer. Okay. Function, declaration, function call. One more is there. Function, definition. Bharat. Three things are there. Function definition, function call, function declaration. Right? First we did function declaration. Now we are going to see function call. After declaring only we can make a call. Right? When you are calling, we have to make sure that we have defined and kept it ready. Okay, so otherwise the call it will be showing error. So to make it understand, compiler understand that we are going to make a call to a function. We are going to use a function. We are declaring it. Now we are going to call it. Right? In order to use a function need to be called or invoked. Invoke. We will be asking using that word, no, to invoke God's blessing like that. So we will be we just need to call the name of God like that. Here it is like calling the function name, right? In order to use a function need to be called or invoked. When a program calls a function, the program control is transferred to the called function. Right? When a function is called, a program control is transferred to the called function, right? A called function performs a defined task. A called function performs a defined task. And when it returns, a return statement is executed, the program control. Who is trying to, if you have any doubts, you can tell me. Okay, so whenever we are calling a function, what will happen? I have shown you what will happen even in the Turbo C. I can show you. Turbo C is little difficult to show the execution in other compilers like Visual Studio. I can show that program control will be transferred. Program control will be transferred to the function definition. So it will be whenever we are calling, the program control will be moving into the, or it will be jumping into the program definition. Declaration is okay. That is just informing the compiler. When we are calling, what will happen? Usually program control, it will be executing line by line, right? It will be executing line by line. Whenever we are calling a function, from that line, it will jump to the program function definition. Got it? After executing the lines which are given in the program definition, the program control will will be transferring back to the main program. Got it? So here in this example, what will happen? Here, as I told, here we declared, and when we are executing the lines, the program control will be moving line by line. When it reaches this line, sum equal to add numbers, what will happen? whether it will execute these lines. No, what will happen after reaching this add numbers? Listen here, I'll be asking these type of questions when I'm showing the program. So this add numbers, when we are calling, program control will be jumping into the function definition, right? Add numbers. It will execute all the lines which are given over here. Understood? And I have just put dotted lines, but actually I'm just showing that it is having many lines of code to execute. And when it encounters the return result statement, or when it encounters the end with a curly bracket, what will happen? The program control again move back to the same line. Listen here, the control will be transferred back into the main program. Got it? The place exactly from where we called, no, to that line itself, the program control. So from here, it will jump here, and then it will execute all lines and go back to the main itself. Understood? So when I'm executing the program, I'll ask you from which line it will be jumping to which line. Okay, so you should be knowing. A called function perform defined task, where we are defining inside function definition, right? So it will perform the defined task, and when it reaches the return statement, when it returns a statement, the program control is transferred back to the main program. To call a function, the required parameters are passed along with the function name. So you have to, there is a syntax for calling the function also, right? When we are if you have declared the function with the return value, then you have to indicate with an variable name and equal to sign. And then we have to call the function, and we have to pass the parameter list, right? So the required parameters are passed along with the function name. Required parameters are passed along with the function name, right? So here the variable equal to function name and the parameter list, right? So in case you have both return value and parameters argument list, we will be giving in this form. If you have only, so what does this indicate? Function name with the parameter list, it doesn't have any return value. It is having only the arguments passed. So function name is mandatory, right? Whether we are passing arguments and whether it is having a return value, it is optional. So here function name with the parameter list. This is another example. Here we have no return value and we have no arguments. So we will be just calling it with the name of the function. So when I'm seeing the notes, I should be saying 3 examples or the general form of writing the 3 ways of calling the function. The function definition. So now we saw there are 3 parts. What is function declaration? We saw function call also we saw. Now we are moving on to function definition. Function definition is also known as function implementation. So what was another name which I told for function declaration? All of you answer in the chat box. Instead of function declaration, I told another name. It may be asked in the question paper also. What is the other name of function declaration? Sebastian and Mehboob and one more. All suddenly you will be answering. Good. Okay, many are answering. Shishankar, Arun. Many are, it is going up, I can't see. Okay, good. No, if you are listening, it is good. So now I'll be asking next, what is another name for function definition? Good, all are listening. So when we see such answers, only we teachers also getting, we are not able to see you people, no, that's why. Here it is like behind Parda we are talking like that. We are not able to see. Blind. I am recognizing you people with your voice, but I am not able to. I am sure that I cannot recognize you when you come directly. With your sound, I can recognize you. Some of you, those who are talking, at least. And in between you, if you are commenting, no, then I'll or asking some doubt. Okay. So function definition is also known as function implementation. So I'll ask next, what is the other name for function definition? So you put a circle in your note and give. So suddenly you can remember function implement. We are going to implement the lines to be executed when you are calling this function. That is function implementation. So function definition or function implementation is having many parts. What are the elements of function definition? The function name should be there. So, and the same name what you have given during the declaration and during the call, you have to mention, right? So you have to use it when you are defining the function. Got it? So function name, function return type, the list of parameters. Giolas, you want to tell something? He muted.
No, ma'am.
Okay. List of parameters, the local variable declaration, function statements, a lot of things are there, right? A return statement. So these are the things which we should have inside function definition. Function definition, you know where exactly we have given function definition. Here in this example where it is given, this is the function definition, right? So this only I am giving as points. What are the things we know, what are the things there should be there for the function definition? Function name should be there. Function return type should be there. Function arguments, what we are passing with the data type should be there. Got it? And then here we should be having the lines of statements to be executed. It should be having, that is known as this is known as a function header. Whatever we are giving in this first line is known as function header. Below in the curly bracket, what we are limiting and delimiting and showing is a function body. So in the first line you can write in function definition. Listen here, function definition, what are the two parts? Function header and function body. Head and body should be there. In head, what all things should be there? Function name should be there, return type and the argument list. In function body, what all should be there? You know that we have studied that the variables which are used, listen, what are the variables which we are using? Why, Pradeep, we are typing function prototype now? That question was asked long before. Okay, so here how the variables which are declared within a function. What is the name of the variable which is declared within the function? Tell me, answer in the chat box. What is the name of the variable which is declared within the function? That category of variables which are declared within the function. So I'm telling about Sachin, I'm asking what is the, not in this example, I'm asking about the variables which we are declaring within the function. Within the function, local variables. What it? That int and b and all, that is in the function we are giving the argument list. That is not within the function. Within the function means within the function body, I'll be giving the local variable declaration, right? So the variables which are used within the function is known as local variables, and the variables which are declared outside all function. Where is global declaration done? Above the main, right? Above main in the declaration part. There, that means it is not within any of the curly bracket. Anything within the curly bracket will be within the function, right? If I am declaring outside all the function, then it is known as a global variables, right? So what is within the function means it is known as the local variable. That's why I'm telling we will be declaring some variable. So seeing these many points, you need not get scared. These are like which we have already seen. I'm just giving it as points. A function should have a name and it should have a return type, list of arguments. That becomes the function header, right? We are making it as function header. Basically, function definition has two parts. Only that much you need to know, function header and function body. Function header, you know that single line which we write, no, it will be having the function name, return type and list of arguments. In the function body, there will be local variables declared, which all variables we are using within the function. Other than the arguments, we will be using other arguments, variables for storing the intermediate values or the result. Okay, that and all you can declare within the function. Those variables which are declared within the function and it is accessible within that function body is known as the local variables. Now, other than that, we will be having some printf statement, calculation statements, those are all there in the function body. And then we have the return statement in case we are mentioning it as integer will be returning. In case it is not mandatory every time to have a return statement. In case you are having void, if you have mentioned void, you will not have any return statement. The 6 elements are grouped into 2 parts. So as I told in the beginning itself, function header and function body. You in your notes, lecture notes, I need to see only these 2 lines. You see function header, in that what all should be the function name, function type, and the list of parameters. Function body, second 3 elements. What is in function body? We will be having the statements and the local variables and also the return statements. So you can, instead of writing second 3 elements, you can write like this. That is local variables. Local variables, variable declaration you can give, or that is enough. No? Variable declaration, and then what else? You should be having the statements, statements to be executed, and then what all you should have it is optional return statement, right? These are the things which you should have in the function body. Okay, so these are the things which you should be having in order to use a function declaration, function call, function definition. So in function definition, you should be having a function header and function body. The general form of function definition, so whatever we have told in the previous slide, I'm just showing it as a syntax. So we told the function header. The function definition should have 2 parts. One is the function header, and the second one will be the function body. So this within the lines which are mentioned within the curly bracket is known as a function body. And the line which is written above the function body is a function header, right? So this function definition consists of 2 parts, function header and the function body. In function header, we have the return type, function name, and the argument or the parameter list. Within the function body, you have the local variable declaration, the lines of statements to be executed, and the return statement. Local variable declaration, the statements to be executed, and the return statement, right? Sometimes if you don't use any local variable, we need not give local variable. That is okay only. But the lines to be executed, this is a mandatory thing which you will be having. The lines to be executed will be there. Even if local variables are not there, even if the return statements are not there, the lines to be executed will be present. So what exactly when a function is called has to happen, that will be written within the curly bracket. Return function type or the function name or the by the parameter list with the parameter list is known as a function. This is just a repetition, function header, and the statements within the open and the closing braces considered to the function body. I have given one example over here for the function definition. So as I told, the function header is having, what is the name of the function? Sum is the name of the function. Return type is integer. What are the arguments what we are passing? Integer A and integer B with the return with the data type we have mentioned. And so this is a good example which you can mention for the function definition. And the function body, the lines which are mentioned within the curly bracket is known as a function body. So function body is having the local variables declared and the statements to be executed and the return statement, right? Return C, because we are calculating C as A plus B. We are returning C, right? So we are assigning the value to a variable called C, and then after assigning the value, we are just returning the value C. So instead of that, if you want to directly give return A plus B also, no problem, right? So here we are returning the value from this function. Any whatever you want to return from after implementation of this function is given using the return statement. Function header and function body. Hope it is clear. So return type, you know already this and all, you need not write it again, or we have given. Function may return a value. The return type is the data type of the return value. Function name, the function name and the parameter list consisted of. So in case they are asking, I saw in the textbook somewhere it is mentioned, what is function signature? That function header, no, with the function name and the parameter list is also known as function signature. In sometimes they may ask. So tell me, what is another name for function definition? Answer in the chat box. What is the other name for function definition? Let me see. That time only I have told him. Function implementation. Okay, so that is another name for. I saw when you are answering, so you were listening to that. Okay. Okay, then competition you should know first who is answering. Okay, so here I am telling function name along with the parameter list is also known as function signature. That's okay. That they I never seen in the question paper. Somewhere I saw this one. Okay. So function implementation and function prototype. It used to be asked in the question paper. So you should be knowing that is the other name for function definition and function declaration. Now, the parameters, when a function is called, a value is passed. This slide content, no need of writing. I'm just explaining what it is. Okay, till now we were doing whatever we had in the previous slide only. This value is referred to as the actual parameters. Parameters are also known as arguments, right? So I have given both the names together. Actual parameters or the arguments. When we learn more about parameters, we know there are two types of parameters: actual parameters and formal parameters that we will learn later. But for the time being, the parameters are also known as arguments. Got it? So in the bracket, we will be giving the parameters, along with the data type only. We will be mentioning, right? After function name, what we will give? Int A. Int is what? That is a data type. Argument one is what? A. Second, what we were passing? Int B. So this is the second data type. Second argument is B, right? Like that, as many arguments you want, you can pass, right, for the function. So in the function definition, return type will be there, function name will be there, and the function parameters will be there. This is only this line. No need of getting scared. This is the same thing which I was repeating now. So it is. It will be having a function name. I didn't want to take more topics now. That's it. So this is the return type, this is the function name, and this is the argument list with the data type. That's why I gave data type 1, argument 1, data type 2, argument 2. Function body, again, it is a collection. I am repeating again in that because if I just show with a picture, you will be writing only that. Depending upon the mark, you can explain. Function body contains a collection of statements. Sometimes it used to be asked for 5 mark, 10 mark. Then if you just write like this, then you will not get marks. Understood? That's why I'm giving one line for that. Function body contains a collection of statements that define. You will be given some rules, these are the things which you are supposed to do. Before internal exam, you will be, what are the things which you have to keep it ready and how you have to attend the exam, and all. You will be given some instruction like that. When this function is called, what you are supposed to do will be given in function definition. Function body contains the declaration, local declaration is done. So declaration and the statements to be executed necessary for performing the required task. It contains 3 parts. Local declaration, function body, we have already seen the local declaration that specifies the variable needed for the function. Function statements that perform the task of the function, and the return statement that returns the value evaluated by the function. Function statements, anything, Here in this example, I told what is the statement to C equal to A plus B is the only statement. This is the function local declaration. This is the return statement. These are the lines of the codes which will be executed, right? Now, the return value. We had studied that return value need not return statement itself. We need not mention if we are giving it as void, right? So here, I'm just giving, there are different types of return values. So the return values and their values. So the return value statement is used to send back the program control back to the main function or the calling function. Calling function. Which is our calling function? Here in this example, where is that example? Which is the calling function and which is the called function? Tell me, answer in the chat box, which is the calling function and which is the called function. In this example, which is the calling function? Calling function means what? The function from which we are calling another function. Got it? So here you know that main is the function from which we are calling the function called add numbers. So which becomes a calling function? Main is a calling function. Which is the called function? I am calling which function here? Add numbers. Got it? So this you have to keep it in mind. Many knows, I think. Main is a main function. Add numbers is the called function. Main is the calling function. Understood? So that you have to understand and keep it in mind. And I am asking later on, which is the called function, which is the calling function. You have to keep that in mind. So the called function can return only one value per call. So when we are giving a return, you can't just put a comma and give A, comma B. Got it? If you are returning, you should be returning only one value, either by evaluating an expression or directly giving only one value. Got it? You can't give 1, 2, 0, 1. Like that, no, you can't return only one value per call. Got it? So we will be having only one return statement. So what is the duty of a return statement? It will be returning or sending back the program control back to the calling function. Understood? So we'll be sending the program control back to the calling function. In our example, the calling function was main. Sometimes we may call from another function. So in that case, we will be returning the call to the called, but whichever function was calling, that function will be, to that function, we will be returning the program control. The called function can return again from the called function. No, we will be returning to the calling function. So when we are returning, we will be able to return only one value. If you are calling one function, you will be returning only one value. So you have to write the program in such a way that the function will be returning only one value. The return statement can be of any type. Here, no, return, it does not return any value. Just, whenever it encounters return statement, the program control will be moving back to the called function. So it does not return any value. It acts as a closing braces, or if you are writing return or if you are not writing return, when it encounters a curly bracket, closing bracket, the control will be immediately passed back to the calling function. So if error return means in the function, if there is an error, it will return the control to the whichever function had called to that function, it will be returning. Got it? So here, if some error happens, then what we have to do? You have to return the control. Program control. Program control is very important, right? So that has to be returned back. Here some error is there, you go back. We are telling it to go back. So the return expression in next way, either you can just give return. That means we are not returning anything, or we can give it as return an expression, right? One example I have given over here. So as I told, we can send only one value. Here, what is happening? Here I am giving x plus y. It is not x comma y. We cannot return two values, but we can give an expression. The expression should be evaluating to give a single value. Got it? X plus y. Suppose it is x value is 2 and y value is 3. 2 plus 3, 5 will be returned. It's not like 2 and 3 will be returned. Got it? It returns the value of the expression. If a function can have more than one return statement, how in this way? Like if you have the branching statement, right? So if you want to give ultimately only one value will be returned. But if you want to have either this or this, how we will be writing them in the statements in the function, in the function definition? If x value is less than or equal to 0, you have to return 0. If x value is greater than 0, you have to return 1. So you know that either this line or this line will be executed. Ultimately, either 0 or 1 will be returned. Got it? So don't think that here ma'am just now told you can return two value, but it is returned. No. Here it will make sure that if this condition is true, then it will return 0. If the condition is false, it will be returning 1. Got it? All functions by default return integer data type. So if you are not mentioning, if you want the character to be returned, if you want a string to be returned, or if you want to return a float variable, you have to explicitly mention the data type. Ordinarily, it will be taken as an integer. Actually, we have to mention integer also. We have to mention what's Sachin, attendance and all. So okay, you have to mention the data type, whatever be the return type. To force a function to return a particular type of data can be done by using the type specifier, right? As I told, if you want to the function to be returning, so here if I'm just giving return 1, it will be returning as an integer itself. If you want to force any type specification is required, means you can specify in the function header float. Got it? Float, and then you mention the function name. So that has to be mentioned in the function header. When a value is returned, it automatically typecasts to the function's type. When a value is returned, it automatically typecasts into function's type. So as I told in the beginning, this is a way of returning or doing the typecast. This is what type of typecast? What are the two types of typecast or type conversion we have studied? Typecast is another name. So whenever we are referring different types of textbook, we will encounter such thing. Conversion, type conversion. Yesterday we studied. No, that another name for type conversion is typecast. Note down somewhere. Typecast is another name for type conversion. Formatted and unformatted. That is yesterday's topic. Before that, I have taken type conversion. NAS, I am talking about conversion, implicit and explicit. Yesterday, I think I took this one only now. Sorry, that is input-output function. Conversion, I had taken day before in the previous class. Type conversion, two types of type conversion, implicit and explicit type conversion. Okay, so that one, yes, type conversion. Type conversion is also known as typecast. Okay, so when we want something to be returned as float, we have to mention in the header the return type is float. Okay, default it will be returned as an integer. Understood? Okay. So I am asking you to write down somewhere. Type conversion is also known as typecast. Okay. Now the different categories of function. A function depending on whether arguments are present or not, whether a value is returned or not, or may belong, it may belong to one of the following categories. That I had already shown you, but this is an important question for university exam. That what are the different categories of function depending upon the return type and the arguments. Depending upon the return type and the arguments. That is whether we have a return type, whether we have an argument, and if we have both the return type and an argument. If you don't have both the arguments and return type, there are 4 types. That's all. That is very easy, right? A function. This, your previous seniors also will be writing. All will be writing this question because it's very easy. Function with no arguments and no return value. Function with arguments and no return value. Function with arguments and one return, that is a return value is there, and function with no argument but with a return value. So all the 4 types, with arguments and without argument, you can have in all the different combinations, right? Without argument, these two are with arguments. I am telling with arguments, and one with a return and one without a return. But here in the first one, no, there is no return value and no arguments. Here it is no arguments and there is a return value. So these are the different categories, different categories of function, what we are going to learn. Don't get confused when you are seeing this question. You have to answer it as the different categories of function is like depending upon the arguments and return value. It will be function with argument and without argument, and with the return value and without a return value, and both argument and return value. Okay. So from here, I'm giving one example for function with argument and or that is nothing. Nothing is there in this. No, I'm just giving 2 lines for that because it is usually asked for 10 marks. You know, from the first line, that heading only you can understand that a function with no arguments and no return value means what? There is no arguments passed and there is no return value. So I told about the called function and the calling function, right? So if you are returning something to the called function, then it is like here, this is an example of there is no arguments. Arguments are the things which we are sending from the calling function. Return values are those which we are returning from the called function, right? So if there is no arguments and there is no return value, that means there is no communication between the calling function and the called function, right? We are not passing anything between the calling function and the called function. When a function does not, so we can also tell that there is no communication that does not receive anything from the called function. So when a function has no argument and it does not receive any data from the calling function, that is the meaning of this function with the no arguments and no return value. There is no data transfer. That is the main thing. Only 2 points you need to write. There is no data transfer between the calling function and the called function. You can write like that. So when we are calling a function, you know that when we here I have given an example. From function 1, I am calling function 2. Listen, from function 1, I am calling function 2. So it is having other lines of code also, right? When it reaches the function 2, program control will not go to the next line. It will be jumping to the function 2. Understood? So from function 1, when it reaches function 2, it jumps to the function 2. Alright? So here, what will happen? From here, no, if I'm having an argument to be passed, integer a. So what is the data which is passed from function 2, from function 1 to function 2? I am passing the value of a. Got it? So there is some communication between function 2 and function 1 and function 2. If we are not passing, here I am not giving any data, means we are not giving any data from function 1 to function 2. Here, you know that in when we are calling function 2, we are not passing anything. The brackets are empty. So there is no input data. Now, after we execute all the lines of the code, we are not having any return statement. Listen here, we don't have any return statement. So when we are returning something only, it will take that from function 1 to function, from function 2 to function 1. But we don't have any return statement. That means no output from the function 2. All right. Control alone will be moving. Control, when it called function 2, it moved to function 2. When it finished with the curly bracket, it returned the function. It returned the control back to this line, right? So this is why we are telling it as when we are having no arguments and when we are having no return value, there is no data transfer. This line should be there. All right. There is no input given to the function, called function. There is no output received from the called function. Function with no arguments and no return value. All right. You can write one example and tell what all will be happening when we are calling. So what is the called function and which is a calling function? Here, you know, here sum is the called function. Who is calling? Main is calling. Main is calling from the body of the main, we are calling the function called sum. Where is the function declaration? I have given as a global prototype, I have given the definition of declaration of sum as void sum. I'm not expecting any return value, and I'm not passing any arguments for the function named as sum. That's why when I'm calling the function sum, I'm not assigning it to any variables. I'm not passing any arguments, right? So when I'm calling this, the function program control will be moving out of the main and it will execute the lines which are given in the function implementation. So it will be executing the line. This is global declaration. Then it will be executing clear screen, printf. All these lines will be executed as the program or the function body. After reaching here, we are getting a get ch and closing a bracket. When it encounters a closing bracket, the program control go back to the called function. When we are calling from here, no, it will return back to the position from where it was called, right? So when it reaches here, as we don't have any return value, if it is not been assigned to any of the variables, that means there is no communication between this called function and calling function. Understood? Understood that what is the program flow when it reaches here. So until this, no, it will be executing line by line. When it reaches here, it will call the sum function. When it calls this, it will move towards this. It will not execute this curly bracket also. Got it? So it will go to this line. It will execute all the lines which are given in the body, and when it reaches this curly bracket, it goes back to this line itself. Understood? Then only it will move to this curly bracket. Suppose you have any other lines written over here, that also it will execute and then it will move to the